Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So we're here back in the live stream setup. So we aren't going to start doing live streams until we start to get a higher subscriber count. We're about to hit 2,000 subscribers. So please, if you're watching this video, hit that subscribe button. Let's hit that milestone and keep the channel growing. So we are building out the setup a little bit. We're going to move the flag over. We're going to hang my helmet and tracksuit on the left. I got these race replica models right here that we might put on some shelves or something like that. I'm not exactly sure yet. But we are slowly building this out, so when we have a big subscriber list, we can do a nice live stream and have a good conversation going. But anyhow, back to the thumbnail of the video, we do have a new addition to the garage. So over the weekend, we bought a FJ09, and the reason was, you know, I go out on my rides all the time, but my fiance can never go with me because, I mean, let's be real, that back seat on the R1 is really not a back seat, and it is not comfortable for passengers, and I don't blame her for not wanting to sit on that. For the girls who do sit on the back of sport bikes, I have a lot of respect for you, because that does not seem comfortable whatsoever. So anyhow, we got the FJ09 over the weekend. We picked it up from a spot in Redondo Beach. It's called Del Amo Motorsports. I will follow up with a later video about the experience with that, because right now we are running into some troubles. Of course, this was filmed after I got the bike, so I'm gonna do you know, a kind of story and showing you what the problems were that we're running into at the moment. But you know, I just want to give you guys a quick introduction, and my latest 2 episodes, besides the 360 riding footage, which is super cool, definitely check that out. We bought the Harbor Freight motorcycle lift, and the first video I could not recommend that lift as it stood. It really wasn't you know, checking the boxes, especially for the price, so I could not recommend it. So in the top right, I will put the link to the first video of the Harbor Freight lift. And then I had some guys on Instagram hit me up, and they suggested some recommendations on what I could do to improve the lift. So we made some improvements. We put some sandpaper down, or not sandpaper, grip tape down, I'm sorry. Put some grip on the lift. We also added a wheel chock to the front, so the front bike was stable and I could lift the rear end with my pit bull stands. So we did make some improvements, but overall, you should watch that video as well, so I'll put that video in the top right. That's the second episode of the lift, and if we made any improvements and if I could recommend it at that point. So let's get back to the garage, and I'll explain more about the FJ09 we got. Alright guys, so here she is. So it's a 2017 Yamaha FJ09, so 900cc. This is now known as the Tracer, or it went from the Tracer 900, and then they went Tracer GT, and now I think it's just Tracer GT. So it's a sport touring bike, and as mentioned in the intro portion of the video, this is really a bike for my fiance and I to get out on the road. She doesn't want to ride. That's perfectly, you know, fine with me. But she's got a nice seat here on the back for her to be comfy on during the rides. And yeah, this is what we brought into the garage. So it's got 8,000 miles. I could not find a bike with that amount of mileage in the surrounding area. I mean, San Diego, there was maybe one, but it was like 12,000 miles. It was a year older. So we went with this one. So 2017, 8,000 miles, FJ09. I will say it needs some love. It needs some love. Fortunately, you know, the guy threw on a Black Widow exhaust system. If you haven't heard of them, they're out of the UK. They make great exhaust systems for a great price, and they are really good quality. So I'm actually gonna put in the top right of the video a link to installing the Black Widow headers on my R6 back there, so you can kind of see the quality, the welds, but they're overall great company. Unfortunately, the header section it just looks terrible. So what we're gonna do is order an entire new Black Widow system. They sound really good on the triples, on the twins as well. And yeah, personally, I love these type of exhausts for this CC range of bike. And other than that, this bike has some issues that we got to fix. So I did get it for, you know, a decent price, but it does need some work. So there is an oil leak right now. The front master cylinder, the fluid is black. The rear brake reservoir, the fluid is black. What else? So the brake pads they're getting there. So we're gonna replace those with some EBC center pads. As always, those are my go-tos. So they're not fully, you know, ground down, but they're getting pretty close. So might as well, you know, just get some new ones. Let's see, other than that, the radiator is in good shape. It is a little dirty, so we're gonna give this thing a good wash once we start getting into it. But there's no dents or, you know, really bent fins. So I guess you just rode it on the street. I don't know. And then overall, this bike weighs 480 pounds. So it doesn't feel like a big bike when you're riding it. Yes, of course, this gas tank, I think, is like 5 gallons. Like it feels like a big bike, but in terms of weight, I definitely like to shave it down a bit. There's some excess parts I don't think we are gonna ever use, like this luggage rack right here. These hand guards, yes, they are plastic, but it'll save us a little bit. We're gonna do a new fender eliminator with some better LED rear turn signals. We have some new levers coming in already, speed bleeders for all the calipers. And in the front, we are getting rid of the pumpkin lights for some LEDs. We might go with a smoked windshield mirror here. And we got some new levers on the way, so it's gonna be a fun project. I'm actually stoked about it. We're gonna get rid of these stupid, you know, center tank protectors, and we might wrap the bike. I don't know. My buddy Gloomy R6, so he actually is wrapping his R6 completely white. It looks really, really good. So I'll put a link to his channel. This guy can ride, so definitely check out his channel. He's a super cool guy, so you know, go over there, check out his videos, give him a subscribe or a like. Definitely help him out. He's a good dude. He can ride, so let's give him some support. And other than that, I mean, just little small stuff. So like getting rid of the pinstripes. I mean, I don't know who would do pinstripes these nowadays. We're gonna get the suspension set properly. And then the tires. I mean, they threw Shinko tires on here. I don't know much about Shinko, but I can tell you that I don't know the name, so that's probably not a good tire. If you run them, that's great. I hope they work well for you, but for me, down the road, I'm gonna wear these to the ground and throw on some Dunlops. And we'll get rid of the rim tape around the front and rear, and like I said, we'll wrap it, so maybe a black, maybe a white, I don't know. But this is going to be a fun project, and it's going to be some good content for you guys. Hopefully it'll help out some of the guys that own MT09s, FZ09s, MT07s, FZ07s, you know, on any kind of work that you could possibly do to your bike, part ideas, all that stuff. So tonight we're pretty much just going to do some small work while we're waiting on some parts. So we're going to take off the luggage rack, as I mentioned previously. We're also going to take off these handguards so we can slim down the bike a little bit. Also the center tank pad protector, and this guy, I guess, used a ram mount, which I definitely don't recommend. Use a quad lock, please. Get the anti-vibration mount. I have seen ram mounts destroy people's cameras because of vibration, so this guy's got to go. And this mirror, we're gonna keep the mirrors, but this thing is just flapping around in the wind, so we're gonna tighten that up, and pretty much just a bunch of small stuff. So I hope you guys enjoy the video, and please subscribe for the entire series and future episodes. So let's get into it. All right, so we're gonna start off with this big old luggage rack. So go. Ooh, that's a long bolt. Alright, so it looks like to get this luggage rack mount off, we're going to have to take off these two bolts right here and slide it off, and then these guys can go back on. I actually like having this flush look without these side brackets on there. These are for, you know, really to strap down luggage or anything like that. There's probably a lot of utility with this, but I think I'm going to take them off and just plug these holes up with some plastic rivets, make it look more flush, and we'll keep it like that. The grab bars are mounted up right here, so we're good on that. And yeah, I think I'm happy with that. Let's move on to the other side. So I actually have a assortment box of plastic push rivets. So we're gonna pop in, let's say a plastic. Oh gosh. Well, for your entertainment, I'm keeping that one on video. Oh my god, they're everywhere. They were so organized. Alright, so I actually have a assortment of plastic push rivets. These are really cheap on Amazon. They come in a bunch of different sizes. So I found these two kind of plug style that'll work, as I do want to, you know, keep it pretty flush. So we will just take this guy. We could push it in, but I don't know. Just screw it in. Screw it. We're gonna push it in. Now that hole is plugged. This side is plugged. And looks like there was nothing there. So I'm gonna do the other side real quick and then we'll go down to the next project. Now for the hand guards, we're gonna need a 5 on this end. Just a 5 on each end. Wow, these are barely on there. I guess you don't need it since it's supported in multiple areas. But this guy just comes down like that. This one, I guess I just can loosen by hand. Wasn't even tight at all. And that looks like maybe a 3. Yep, that's a 3 right there. Nice. Okay. So we're also going to have to get rid of the bracket, which looks like it mounts underneath the mirror mounting area, and then hooks onto the bottom of the brake right there, or the clutch lever, I'm sorry. So whenever you work on these style mirrors, usually on a lot of naked bikes, they mount directly on top through a bolt. So always put electrical tape on them. The actual hex nut is not always that, I guess, sharp on the edges. So when you use a wrench, you can actually round them pretty easily and also mar them up. So we're going to use a crescent wrench. One of these is reverse threaded, which if I remember correctly is the one on this side, on the right. So this one should be just left, and then the other one is actually right to loosen. So we'll get started on this one right now, because we're going to have to remove this to unscrew or remove the hand guard bracket. So on the left is loose, and usually on the right is loose. So just remember that. Alright, now this top bracket can come off, which you're not going to reuse. The bottom one is held in by, looks like a 10mm bolt, which also holds in the clutch assembly. So now that this looks right, once again taking our crescent, and we're just going to get it snug, and that's all it takes. So while we're at it, this mirror is super flimsy. The wind will angle it down, up, this and that. So I think, if I remember correctly, all we need to do is just tighten this nut right here, and then everything else should tighten up. So we're going to give that nut just a little bit of more tension. That's plenty. So mirror seems like it's not playing as much as it was when I was riding the other day now. I don't know if there's an adjustment in here. If there is, please let me know. I haven't actually taken this part apart, but it seems a lot sturdier than what it used to be. So I apologize for the angle. It's a little bit hard to get in here and film this properly, but as you can see, the bottom bar is just mounted on the bottom of the clutch lever mount. You know, I'm sure I'm gonna get some comments, oh, why didn't you just buy an MT09? You're taking off everything which makes it an FJ09 or a Tracer. Yeah, you're right, but the MT09 does not have the back seat. And the comfortability that we were looking for, as I've had an MT09. So I think this bike's gonna work out just right for us. So it actually looks like there's a super long hexagonal, it's like a spacer, but it's also a nut, and it's also a 10. So since we're not using hand guards, we could take this off as well, and then just screw that nut that we just took off back in there. So like I said, this is pretty much just a spacer nut for the handguard. So this handguard is removed. This is a pretty long bolt, which is not normal unless you do have this kind of handguard set up. I might order a bolt for an MT09 just so this isn't kind of hanging out so far down. But for now, it looks good. Definitely cleans up the look of the bike, at least in my opinion. So I actually have a pair of Womatech bar ends that we're going to be screwing into here now that we removed the hand guards. These were left over from my MT09 that I didn't use, so I have an extra set. We're going to be doing a lot of Womatech parts. They partner with TST Industries out of Florida. TST, great company, love a lot of stuff that they make. But this is a 10mm Allen, so we're going to remove this and then screw in the new bar ends. I'm sorry. So with the Womatech bar ends, this is kind of a Delrin plastic, so screws in the same way. So we're just going to have to unscrew this little Allen bolt right here, Then I assume we're going to have to use that 10 to get it back in there. So we have a big hex socket to screw it in, but we don't want to crank these in, so we're just going to put some Loctite just to make sure that these guys don't slide out and we don't have to really wrench them in there. So I'm going to screw them in by hand just to not cross thread. Going in smooth, threads are smooth, and I gotta see if I have a socket that big. If not, we'll just use a crescent to give it a little bit of pressure. So this is a 22mm socket that we're using to tighten it in. Now right when you feel resistance, you don't need to go any farther, and I can't go any farther with my hand. So we're going to throw a ratchet on this and just give it one little snug down. Remember, we do have Loctite on there, so we don't need to crank it. Remember, just a little bit past resistance. And then we're going to take our 5, which we're also going to put Loctite on because this could come loose. Just a little bit though. I feel like I always say a little bit and then I overdo it. So we'll get our cap, pop it here, and then just pop on the bar end. So remember, just a little bit past resistance. This does have Loctite. There's no need for really heavily cranking these on. So there we go. It's got a good look. Pretty slim profile. Got rid of that huge kind of eyesore, at least in my opinion. So, and these are good bar ends. I actually use these on my R6 as well. So let's move on to the other side. So we're gonna get rid of the center tank protectors. They look terrible, and we're gonna heat it up first because it's a little chilly out, and then these should pop right off. So. Alright, now that they're off, looks like we have some adhesive left over, so we're going to use isopropyl alcohol, get rid of this stuff. And if you want these, hit me up in the comment section and I'll ship them to you even though they don't have adhesive anymore. Just joking. Alright guys, so that's going to do it for this episode. So I think we got a lot done. We got rid of the center tank protectors. We cleaned up the bars with the handguard removal and Womatec bar ends. We did throw on some Womatec swing arm spools. And I guess they're also sliders as well, just so we could get it up on a stand. We took out the luggage rack, so we also didn't put in these side luggage, I guess hooks, mounts, whatever you want to call them. So cleaned up the back end of it, made it a little bit less wide with the handguards and everything else that was attached. And there's a lot more work to go. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please drop a like. We're also about to hit 2,000 subscribers, which is a big milestone for me. It's been a blast having this channel so far.
giving you guys content, interacting with you guys. So please hit that subscribe button. Let's hit that 2K mark. And also, if you have any questions, comments, anything that we did today or about the future episodes, feel free to leave a comment down below. I respond to all of my comments. And as always, ride safe, and we'll see you next time.